So this story came out, and I found this kind of interesting. Potential buyer of the Calgary Stampeders of the CFL has an XFL connection. Now, things have been very quiet in the XFL ever since the CFL and XFL ended their talks about before the CFL season began. The only news about the XFL has come in an interview when CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrose discussed the talks between the two leagues. That's the only time we've ever heard anybody mention the XFL. But that doesn't mean we haven't heard things. And a rumor floating around the last several weeks has finally seen the light of day thanks to the Rod Pederson Show. Got a great show. Always check them out. We have links in the show notes for that. It involves the sale of the CFL's Calgary Stampeders to a buyer with an XFL connection. Now, Pederson's connection with the CFL runs deep. Spent 20 years as the voice of the CFL Saskatchewan Roughriders. We're doing great this season. And he had this to say about the Stampeders' potential new owner.
I'm sure once the Flames unload the Stampeders, things will get better. He says that tongue-in-cheek. Mm-hmm. I got a tip, and by the way, I will show it to you in the break. A DM on the sale of the Stampeders.
Okay.
The buyer, I'm told, from the same guy who gave me the tip in the first place, which coincidentally has been confirmed by a lot of Calgary football people that this is a thing. They got a buyer for the Calgary Stampeders. The guy has a connection to the XFL. Again, you may not like what I have to say, but I'm not lying to you. And so I'm going back and forth with the guy, and I'm like, wouldn't it be something if it was The Rock? And he said, my guy, he said, wouldn't it be something? Come full circle. Play with the Stampeders, got cut, come back and buy them. Well, that's cute. I look at it as this. Who doesn't want to go back and buy the place that cut you or fired you and burn it down? I'm not saying The Rock wants to go and burn down the Calgary Stampeders, but for him to come back and peel off the cash to buy the Calgary Stampeders?
Oh, yeah.
Could happen.
That's Ari Gold style. And he comes in with a paintball gun. Right? Everybody wants to own. You want to fire me? Okay, I'll come back and buy you, and I'll own the whole place.
So there you have it. That is the audio. Now, the Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation, CSEC, owners of the Calgary Flames of the NHL and Calgary Stampeders, have been rumored to trying to unload the Stamps for some time. A CFL franchise value is not anywhere close to the value of an NFL franchise. In April, Ottawa Red Blacks play-by-play man A.J. Jakobic told Pederson a former CFL executive told him that some major market CFL franchises are worth $1 each. He said, quote, Toronto Argonauts, what are they worth? $1. Montreal Alouettes, what are they worth? $1. Jakobic said, a CFL exec told him. Other CFL franchises like the Rough Riders and Red Blacks are worth in the millions. Now, we are unsure where the Stampeders valuation falls in, but has never been lumped in with the big money makers or the big money losers of the CFL. Now, could The Rock be the buyer? Now, Rod implies, a little tongue-in-cheek way, that a person with XFL ties could be The Rock himself. The Rock played with the Stamps for a brief time and was cut with $7 in his pocket, hence the name of his and Danny Garcia's production company, $7 Production. They just had another successful movie release along with Disney's with the Jungle Cruise. If you didn't watch it, it was a good one. This year's season cliffhanger of the Young Rock on NBC had a young Dwayne Johnson making his trip to Canada to try out for the CFL. Having The Rock come full circle and purchase the team that cut him would make news worldwide, as Dwayne The Rock Johnson is a worldwide megastar. You all know who he is. The tie into next year's Young Rock would be huge and create quite the buzz. Another potential name could be Redbird Capital. However, it is highly unlikely Redbird would invest in a CFL team. They have deals with the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees, franchises that are worth billions, just to name a few of them underneath Redbird Capital. So they would not be interested in the Calgary Stampeders. But in a vacuum with very little XFL news, this could be nothing at all. The CFL has struggled to find owners for teams over the years. They just had BC Lions get a new owner. And this rumor might be out there just to close a deal with another potential partner or use The Rock's name to get more money or interest in the team. You never know. People can play this game all around. They float this rumor out that maybe The Rock is, and then all of a sudden whoever's might be in line to buy the Calgary Stampeders is going to be like, oh, yeah. Oh, if The Rock's going to buy it, I'm going to put in an extra $1 million. You never know how these things could play out. How crazy would it be, though, if The Rock, who has definitely the money to do it, made this deal? For those who say The Rock knows nothing about running a football team, they would be a fool. A total fool to suggest he would. He would hire, of course, the best talent to run the team, as most professional owners of teams do in pro sports. The question is, what would be the point of owning a CFL team for The Rock? Maybe owning a CFL franchise would scratch that itch of being part of football, but where does that leave the XFL? Could you own a CFL franchise in a pro football league in the United States? Where would that leave the XFL and his priorities? Clearly, I don't know where the XFL priorities are right now. Maybe this is the itch. He wants to get involved in football. It's a little too complicated to do the XFL, so why not just buy the Calgary Stampeders and kind of implement some things that you want to do there? That could be it. Then there is the impact on the CFL, and how would that change the balance of power in the CFL boardroom, for example? Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver were all more bullish when it comes to talks with the XFL, but I don't know what the XFL has got going on right now. If The Rock owns the Stampeders, that would make it 4 teams potentially interesting in changing parts of the CFL's business model. If $7 Productions were pursuing a major TV deal, The Rock owning a CFL franchise and going back to Canada would definitely make for some great television, but would it make great business sense for him in the long term, and would he even have the time to do it? Maybe they could package that piece with whatever TV package they're going with, but still, is that going to make the difference? Maybe. Like everything in the XFL the past year plus, we have more questions than answers, but what we do always have doing is waiting for an answer and direction. You can watch that full episode of the Rod Pederson Show. That was the August 17th, 2021 edition of his program. Do I think The Rock is going to buy the Calgary Stampeders? I don't think so. That's interesting that his name would be put out there. Like I said, maybe it's just a way to garner interest, but who knows? Who knows? Do I doubt it? Yeah, I don't see the business aspect for him other than a short-term pop. Why would he want to do that other than, some kind of personal thing? And then honestly, if he were to buy the Calgary Stampeders, where would that leave the XFL? Why would he need the XFL at that point? He'd be focusing on his franchise and making that franchise good and successful and helping the CFL league become good and successful. Maybe that would be enough. Maybe it's like, all right, well, we're not going to do the XFL right now. Just, we got everything that's going on in the world, but I'm going to buy the CFL. I'm going to buy the Calgary Stampeders and get involved with the CFL for a while, and then maybe we'll bring back the XFL at some point. Who knows, my friends, but with very little chatter going on, very little rumors, very little talk behind the scenes, I think because there's really nothing going on right now. I hope I'm wrong, but would it be a fantastic story and generate some buzz and excitement for The Rock and the CFL if he were to buy the Stampeders? Yes. The question would be, even if that did happen, what is going on with the XFL then? And that might not be an answer we want to hear.